All right, I think we're live now.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, and welcome to a live seminar that's hosted by HOPE-NIT Trichy. And HOPE-NIT Trichy is an initiative that is powered by the Students' Council NIT Trichy and the Social Council NIT Trichy with a mission to form a community that collectively envisions a mentally healthier campus and strives to increase understanding and shows compassion to the people that are going through tough times. And the talk about mental health have always been evaded in long conversations that we have here at our university. And in order to start the conversation, we need to start a conversation. And we had recently conducted a survey, and over 70% of the students had suggested conducting talks, discussions, and creating awareness through social media. And owing to that fact, today we have organized an interactive and informative webinar on topics relevant to mental health and anxiety. We hope that through this initiative, we as a student community can learn, understand the gravity of the situation, and help bring about the change that we speak of. Right.
Today we are proud to welcome Ms. Srijita Gupta, an RCA certified clinical psychologist and a member of the ISCP. She has worked extensively with children with special needs, orphan children, and with individuals related to addictions. She's worked from all age groups, and she's also helped to address behavioral concerns, learning problems, parenting issues, anxiety, depression, stress, and work and family-related problems. Her experience also includes working as a lecturer at the Foundation for Action, Motivation, and Empowerment at Bangalore, where she taught and trained students undergoing RCI certified PG diploma course on mental retardation. Ms. Srijata is an empathetic mental health professional whose interest lies in providing assistance and support to help people resolve individual or interpersonal problems through proper guidance and therapy. Ma'am, it's a privilege to have you here with us today. Without further ado, let's just start with the webinar.
Sure. Thank you, Sovina. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. A very good evening to you all. As she has introduced, I'm Srijita. I am currently working in the Center for Mental Health Pune. So here we are a team of 5 psychologists where we are dealing with a lot of psychiatric issues, a lot of psychological issues. We do conduct extensive assessments whenever it is required, and we obviously provide therapy to help people deal with this. We are happy to help all of you, and if there is any help which is required or anything, I would definitely welcome you to the Center for Mental Health. So let's go forward with our presentation today. So today's topic is overcoming depression in terms of career failure and family pressure. So right. So depression is something which is, talked about a lot. We use the term depression very loosely, like whenever we are feeling sad, whenever we are feeling low. So we tend to say that, I am feeling depressed, I am feeling depression, I am feeling depressed. So what exactly is depression? So let us take a small quiz as to what do we mean by depression. So here there are 3 case examples. So the first one is goes like this. Miss Evie, 22-year-old, had a pet dog which died about 5 days ago. She's feeling sad and having crying spells when she would go to bed at night after returning from office. She would sit at the dinner table, talk to everybody, but would tear up if somebody mentions anything about the dog. The second quiz goes like Mr. CR, a 25-year-old, has been reluctant to go for work almost for a month now. He will be lazy to do anything, won't watch football games, which has been his favorite, and would mostly remain aloof. Miss NK, and the third one is Miss NK, 21-year-old, has been extremely happy for the last 10 days. She has been talking to people, even strangers, and would be laughing out loud without any apparent reason. She is extremely energetic and has been sleeping for only 2 hours since 10 days. So these are the 3 case examples. Now, which one do you all think is a case of depression, and which one do you think is not a case of depression, or what do you think about it? Okay, you can leave probably your comments in the comment box, and we will be going forward with this. So, in this, actually, what exactly is depression? Depression is a condition which negatively affects how a person feels, the way in which a person thinks, and how he acts. So, in the case examples that we have found, in the first two case examples, both of these things are a cause of, a cases of sadness, right? But then here, the first one is not a case of depression. However, the second one is. Why it is so? Because here the so if we go here, so it causes feelings of sadness or loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. So you can relate it. It causes feelings of sadness or a loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. So in the second case, he Mr. CR, he had a hobby that he would watch football games, and now he is not being able to do that. The severity can vary, either being mild, moderate, or severe. So, in these two cases, in the first case, although she is feeling sad and although she is having crying spells, there is a specific trigger that her pet dog has passed away, and it was just 5 days ago. So, depression is also related to the time frame. If it is happening for just for a few days, we do not consider it as clinical depression. The symptoms have to be present, and it has to be there for a significant period of time. So she would sit at the dinner table, talk to everybody. That means her functioning is fine. She would go to bed at night after returning from office. That means her occupational well-being, social well-being is fine. But then there is a specific trigger. If somebody mentions anything about the dog, then she would be tearing up. However, the second case is a case of clinical depression, where this person's occupational well-being is compromised. He is not being able to go to work. He is not being able to watch his favorite football game. He is lazy. He is fatigued, and he would mostly remain aloof. That means both his personal well-being, his social well-being, and occupational well-being, all of these three things are compromised. In the second case, this is the opposite of the depression. This is a case of mania. So the mood, when we are talking about mood disorders, it's not only about depression. Depression is one side of it. There is an extreme there is an opposite to it, an extreme opposite to it, which is a case of which goes like this: that there will be a lot of happiness, and he's talking to people a lot, even to strangers, would be laughing without no reason, extreme happiness, extreme energetic. So although it's not depression, but it does come under the mood disorder. So now maybe we can relate to it. Now let's come to the symptoms of depression. These are the few symptoms of depression: having low mood, loss of interest, getting easily tired, not being able to attend, not being able to concentrate at the things which we are required to, having a very low self-esteem, feeling of unworthiness, that I'm useless, I'm good for nothing, having a very negative view of the future, as to the future seems to be bleak, there is nothing that I can be doing. There might be ideas of self-harm present, and the physiological functionings of sleep, appetite are disturbed. There might be either a decrease in these things, or a sudden increase in these things. This is how a classic depressive triad is being can be explained. So these are the three components that happen: worthlessness, hopelessness, and worthlessness means having a negative feeling about ourselves, about the self. So, like I said, that I am useless, I am good for nothing, nothing can be done by me. So having a very low self-image, or having a very low self-esteem. Hopelessness is a a negative image about the future. So there, I don't know what I will be, what I'll be doing. I have no plans for future. The future seems to be very pessimistic. And helplessness is lack of support, that there is nobody to listen to. I am alone. I am, I don't have anybody to share my feelings with. I don't have anybody to share my thoughts with. So so these are the three classic things of how the depressed people feel, and we can identify a person with depression through these three things also. So what might be the factors? We are talking about depression so much. We know, we are listening to so many suicides happening, so many things happening. So, but what exactly happens? Why? What are the factors which lead to depression? So there are certain things which can be controlled. There are certain things which are beyond our control. So the first thing is genetic vulnerability. If there is any case of depression, or not necessarily depression, any case of any psychiatric or psychological issue that runs in the family, that does play a role. There are certain neurochemical factors that affect, like there are certain neurotransmitters that are there in our brains. So the level of dopamine, the level of serotonin, these things are the imbalance of these things do cause depression. The stressful life events might be a cause. So in the example, like we have taken the example that the pet dog had passed away. So since it is just for 5 days, that's why it is not, we are not considering it as clinical depression. But for any stress, if the feeling of sadness, like I say, the compromise in our total well-being, if these things go on happening for a significant period of time, might cause then it might cause clinical depression. So stressful life events can be anything, might be a death in the family, might be a relationship breakup, might be a failure in some significant exam. It can be anything that causes stress. There are certain personality factors, like see, if the same situation, let's say, is happening to two people, so even then it's like two people will be reacting in two different ways, right? So that again depends on what my predisposition is, what how my personality goes, how much stress can I take, what is my resilience, right? How much can we deal with it. So there are certain personality factors which also affect depression. And then the role of the family. So if there is no support from the family, if our family is not validating our emotions, if we feel that we are not protected enough, not physically but psychologically, emotionally, by our family, that might lead to depression. So in terms of the family now, the while we are since we are talking about mostly about family pressure and the role of family in terms of career failure, these are few of the things that affect our selves, our personalities. So the first thing is the helicopter parenting. I think you are all aware of it, and I am not sure if you have watched the movie Helicopter Ela. Okay, so there it is a typical example of helicopter parenting, micromanaging every decision of their children, leaving no autonomy, no decision making to the children. That might come to forbidding the children to study what they want and pushing them into studying what they decide for their parents. Also, when in helicopter parenting, there is also the parenting style is also over involved. Like I mentioned, that we are not giving the children any autonomy or anything, any decision making, anything. So all of the things are dependent on the parents. So whatever the parents say, they have to do that. What are the effects? What might happen? Most of the students love and respect their parents, but are terrified to confront them or go against their wishes. Right? So that is the main reason which happens. So that is how the power dynamics have been set up in the family by the parents. So we are your parents, we know better than you, we are more experienced, and that's why you have to do what we are telling you. Okay, so the children are also terrified of disappointing them, ending up feeling desperate, lost, and hopeless. So there, at one end, they are like they cannot confront them, but then at the same time, they cannot deal with the wishes or the desires that they are having. So at the end, they end up suffering. Helicopter parents are depriving their kids of feeling autonomous, competent, and connected to other people, considered to be the key to happiness. Now, in terms of career failure, so there are certain, whenever we face a particular failure, there are, I'm sorry, there are certain stages. The first thing comes with the shock. So whenever there is a failure or anything, the first thing that we face is shock. How did this happen? So it is also in the it can also happen in the form of denial. This can't happen with me. Why did this happen to me? This is not true. So even before why did this happen to me, it comes as this cannot be true. So there is an intense shock, and then the denial comes in. After that comes the fear that what is going to happen, what might be happening, what are the other alternatives, what can I be doing? So there is nothing else left. So then the fear sets in. After that comes the anger and blame. It might be self-blame, or it might be blaming somebody else, again depending on the personality makeup that a person is having. It might be that then it comes in that why didn't I study, or why didn't I do what I was supposed to do, why didn't I, it's my fault, it is something that happened to that has happened to me, or blaming the others. It sometimes tends to go to the parents also. Why did you force me into it? I never wanted this, and so on and so forth. Then comes shame. So when the anger phase goes away, then slowly the responsibility taking comes in, that this is my responsibility and I did not do it, and that's when the shame creeps in. And then finally comes despair. Okay, so but these stages are definitely difficult for a person to go through, but also these stages actually serve a positive function. Okay, so why is it serving a positive function? Because they are teaching us to accept our loss, and they are preparing us for the task of rebuilding. Okay, although they initially result in a significant amount of stress, but finally they are teaching us to accept our loss. So when I am in the state of shock, I am in the state of fear, I am in the state of anger and blame, I am still not accepting it, right? So after that, when the fourth stage sets in, the acceptance slowly comes in, that yes, it is something which has happened, and I am being ashamed for that, and I am being, too sad for that, I am being helpless about that. So although initially it results in stress, now just a word on stress. What exactly is stress? Stress is something that we have come across so many times in so many places in so many ways. But what exactly is stress? Stress, if we have to define stress, this is how the definition goes, that it is an emotional experience which is accompanied by predictable biochemical, physiological, cognitive, and behavioral changes that are directed either towards altering the stressful event or accommodating to its effects. Right? So it is obviously an emotional experience. We are experiencing it emotionally, and it is accompanied by certain biochemical changes that happens in our brain, some physiological changes. Like we all know, in the face of stress, in the face of extreme anxiety, we tend to have a lot of physiological symptoms, like palpitation, increased pulse rate, maybe some kind of pupillary dilation, increase in our body temperature, in extreme conditions, tremors. So these are the physiological conditions. The cognitive changes, that we kind of think that why is it happening, what do I do with, and obviously the behavioral changes. And these changes, what do these things do? They either alter the stressful event, they either try to alter the stressful event if that is under our control, or if the event is not under our control, then we tend to accommodate to its effects. The better, the more we are able to accommodate to its effects, the more we are able to bounce back from the stress. This part is called the resilience. So how often can we bounce back from the face of stress? How often can we come back to the normal, to our day-to-day normal functioning? So if we have to take the example, the first case example, there has been a stressful event, that the death of the pet dog. So here the changes cannot be direct towards altering the stressful event, because that is something which cannot be altered, that is not under our active control. So what can we do is, we can accommodate, we can adjust ourselves to the effects that are happening. We When we are talking about stress, we mostly tend to associate a negative connotation with stress. But stress can actually be of two types. One is the eustress, one is the distress. The eustress is basically the positive stress, the stress which is caused by a positive change in our day-to-day lifestyle. So for example, if I have, let's say, a promotion in work, or I am joining a new job where my responsibilities are more, my responsibilities change and people are expecting more from me, even that cause some amount of stress in me, but that is a positive stress. So if, like marriage, okay, having a child, these things are the stress that results from these things is called the eustress. And whatever we were talking about is the distress, that is the negative part of the stress. Sorry. So now, how do we deal with stress? So we have been extensively talking about stress. We are listening that stress is there, we have to reduce stress, we have to not take so much stress. So what do we actually do? What can we do about stress? There are certain lifestyle changes, there are certain lifestyles uh, that we can follow from our stress. So some of the health promoting behaviors: regular exercise. Exercising is something that helps. Healthy and balanced diet. This is something which is very important, because in the face of stress, whenever we are feeling stressed, we tend to overeat. We tend to eat junk foods. We tend to eat fatty foods, right? So having a healthy and balanced diet, having a proper sleep cycle, socialization, seeking social support is one thing that helps us. Engaging in hobbies, relaxing ourselves, these are the few health promoting behaviors that we can do vis-a-vis some of the health damaging behaviors. So overeating, like I said, overeating and eating disorders. So eating disorders is so there might be two types of eating disorders. So one thing, there are two types of eating disorders actually. I One of these is called the anorexia nervosa. So what happens is, here people have this thing, they are so much aware of the body image, they tend to feel that I am being healthy, I am being fat, and then they tend to slowly not eat to such an extent that they become, they seem to be suffering from malnutrition. And the other thing is bulimia nervosa. So in case of bulimia, what happens is, the person after eating, they have a guilt that I have overeaten, and there is a purging. So there's binge eating and purging. The purging can be through vomiting, through use of laxatives, and can be anything. So there's a constant cycle that goes like this, that there is binge eating that is causing stress, and then there is purging, again binge eating and purging. So it's called the binge purge cycle. So overeating, eating disorders, smoking, alcoholism, substance abuse, and having a sedentary lifestyle, as opposed to the regular exercise, having a proper diet that I was talking about. One thing that might be relevant to you is dealing with academic stress. So in nowadays, we do face a lot of academic stress coming from. So how do we deal with that? So in some ways, we can have like planning a to-do list, that what are the things that we need to do? What are the things that we have to do? So planning a goal at first, then setting short-term goals. So most of the times what happens is we tend not to set goals which are immediate. We tend to set goals which are long-term goals. Like for example, okay, by the end of, I have my exam after 1 month and I have to finish, let's say, 30 chapters in 1 month. So how do I go about it? I will do one chapter per day and I will be done. Here, I am not planning a short term goal. I am not keeping the goal for myself that what do I need to do by the end of today. Okay, what do I need to finish by the end of today? What I am setting is what I need to do by the end of 1 month. So there, since I do not have any plan for today, we tend to procrastinate sometimes. Okay, that okay, I will do it tomorrow. I will do it tomorrow. And then maybe 10 days go by. Then 20 days are left and then 30 chapters are still remaining. Then maybe we'll think, okay, even if I do 2 chapters every day, I'll be able to finish. Then another 10 days go by, and that's when probably we start panicking. That's when we have the stress that, oh my God, how do I do that? So probably setting short-term goals will be important. So by today, what do I need to do? And we can even break them into smaller parts. So in the next 2 hours, I'll be finishing this part. In the next 1 hour, I'll be finishing this part. So that again, the budgeting time here, the time management comes in. And also while we are setting the short-term goals, at the end of 2 hours, I will get a feedback as to whether I have been able to finish what I have planned for. Okay, so if I'm planning that by the end of today, I will be doing this, maybe if I am procrastinating for the first 30 minutes or 1 hour, I am still not being able to understand at times that, okay, that time is already gone. I have lost that time. Okay, so maybe setting the short-term goals is helpful. As I said, budgeting time. Then one thing is very important, that is associating a reward. Okay, most of us do not tend to do that. Okay, we tend to think that, okay, we have to do this. This is something that we have to do. But what is what is the big deal about it? What do I do about it? But associating a reward or having an incentive, having a reinforcement is always helpful. So let's say I am planning that I will be finishing this much part of my work. So if I am able to stick to it, so 2 hours, again, let's say I'm taking a break for 10 minutes and another 2 hours. So if I have been able to stick to my goals and I have been able to finish, maybe I am trying to take a reward. That doesn't have to be a big reward. That doesn't have to be something big. It can be very small thing, like maybe I am watching one episode of my favorite series. That might be a reward. I might be eating my favorite chocolate. That might be reward, something small. Then taking breaks, like I said, that in between taking some small breaks, some small 5 to 10 minutes of break also helps us in refreshing our mind. And of course, breathing and relaxation techniques. Some of the deep breathing exercises, some of the relaxation exercises are definitely helpful in dealing with not only academic stress but any kind of stress. So now, how to overcome depression? How to overcome it goes for both actually, depression and stress. So what do we do? So here there are two parts of, I have divided it into two parts. What do we need to do as an onlooker, and what do we need to do as a subject? So if I am suffering from depression, what are my responsibilities over there? But what are my responsibilities if I see somebody else, maybe my friend or somebody else, is suffering from it? So first of all, identification of the symptoms. Many of us do not have the proper awareness of what clinical depression exactly is. Okay, so now that we have spoken about it, now that we have an idea about it, the identification, it would be better for us to identify the symptoms. Okay, so when if we are seeing that somebody is somehow feeling low, if somebody is not really interested in what they always wanted to, if somebody is saying that no, I don't feel like doing any particular thing, or if somebody is saying that no, I don't think I will be able to do this, I'm useless, I don't think anybody is listening to me or anything like that, that identification is the first step towards help seeking. Then active listening, that is so I will combine these two things, active listening and providing validation. So what happens is, we as common people, whenever somebody is telling us that, like if somebody is ventilating or if somebody is sharing something with us, what do we mostly tend to say? We tend to say that it's fine, it will all be fine, it's nothing, just don't think about it, just don't take too much stress. Okay, we think that in this way we are helping the other person, but actually we are not helping the other person if we are talking like this, right? So here, whenever we are telling this, there is no, we are not providing validation to the other person's feelings. So we are kind of dismissing the feelings, saying that oh, it's nothing, it's just a phase and it will go by. So what can we do over there? We can have active, we can listen actively, we can always be empathetic, and we can say that yes, I understand, okay, maybe we don't have the solution, maybe we won't be able to always come up with a solution or tell the other person, acha, this is happening, so you have to do this, maybe that's not always possible. But then again, just letting the other person know that yes, I am there for you, yes, you can talk about it, or yes, I am listening to you, that itself helps the person suffering from depression or stress or any kind of negative event. Maintaining a warm and caring relationship, responding to emergencies. So if at all we feel, if at any point of time we ever feel that there is a threat to the other person, or to somebody, to the person himself, or to another person, we have to immediately respond to these emergencies. We have to be very careful about it, we have to be cautious about it. If the person says that I feel like, I feel I was not there, nobody wants me, I feel like as I want, as if it would have been better if I could have escaped all of these things, we have to be extra careful, we have to be extra cautious about these things. Then providing information about support services, whatever is available, whatever we are aware of, we have to provide information. And that also comes with breaking the stigma, that if somebody is suffering from depression or anything, or not only depression, we can always say that yes, it's okay, let us talk about, let us talk to somebody, let's talk about it. Okay, so providing information about support services without having any stigma associated with it. As a subject, what will happen to me if I am suffering? The first thing that is very difficult but will help me if I do is opening up about my concerns. Okay, so if anything is happening to anybody, it is better that you open up, it is better that we open up, it's better that we talk about it. Okay, maybe we are not talking about it to everybody, but we might be having some close friend, somebody, it might be my parents, it might be my friend, it might be a teacher, it might be anybody, but the opening up itself helps. Then searching for a situational cause, it is not applicable always, but most of the times it might be triggered by a particular thing. So what is it that is causing this? Is there can I relate it to a particular cause? Improving lifestyle, engagement in hobbies and activities, I don't feel like doing anything, so I end up not doing anything. Instead of doing that, we have to, it is difficult, but we have to force ourselves to engage in some hobbies, in some activities, so that it helps us to take our mind away from the fact that is bothering us. And then, obviously, the most important part is seeking professional help. So, just a brief idea about the intervention. So, the main interventions that we can do is, one of this is called the CBT, the cognitive behavior therapy, and the mindfulness based therapies. So, I will very quickly take you through the intervention. CBT was proposed by Aaron Beck, and it basically explains the interrelationship between the thought, feeling, and the behavior. So this is how it goes. So let's say there is a particular trigger, something has happened that, so while we are talking in terms of career failure, let's take that as a situation that, let's say I have failed in my exam. That is the situation. So what is the thought? The initial thought that comes in is probably that I am useless. Why did this happen to me? Okay, when this thought comes in, that leads to a feeling. We are all aware, we are feeling sad, we are feeling anxious, we are feeling disappointed. When these feelings are there, what do we do out of these feelings? Okay, what are the behaviors that we are doing out of these feelings? So maybe I'm feeling sad and I am withdrawing, I'm not talking to anybody. I am feeling sad, I am crying excessively, I am feeling angry, so I am yelling at my parents. So these are the behaviors that are happening. Now, the more we engage into these behaviors, the more we are again reinforcing the thought. Why am I yelling? Because the thought that I feel that I am useless. Okay, and then it continuously goes on in a cycle, in a negative, unhealthy cycle. So what does the therapy do? Therapy basically, the CBT basically helps us to convert this unhealthy cycle into a healthier one. Okay, we need, so how do we do that? These are few of the steps involved in CBT. Identifying the cognitive errors, like I am good for nothing, nothing will happen with me, always bad things happen to me. There are certain cognitive errors that happen, we are able to identify the errors. What we need to do is we need to restructure that cognition, that faulty cognition. That is again done through extensive therapeutic techniques, which I'm not going into the details. Behavioral activation is something which is very important. Like I said, that engagement in something, we need to do something. Okay, that when I am feeling low and I'm not doing anything, I'm just feeling tired and just feeling like sleeping, just some small things to just start off with my behavior, start off with my activities. Maintaining a thought record helps. Having an idea of the coping skills. So most of the times we engage into unhealthy coping mechanisms. We have discussed it in terms, few of them in terms of the health damaging behaviors and health promoting behaviors. So replacing the negative coping skills with active coping skills or positive coping skills is something which is helpful. And pleasant activity scheduling, like what are the things that I like to do, and probably I'm taking 15 minutes or half an hour every day to do something that I enjoy doing. The mindfulness based interventions are mostly emphasized on acceptance and mindfulness principles. One of the most common therapy is called the ACT, the acceptance and commitment therapy. So here what happens is, the core problem is due to, which is represented in the acronym fear. When I am getting fused with my thoughts, that means I am so much merged with my own thoughts that I'm not able to think of anything beyond it. Okay, so something bad is happening to me, I am so much fused with it that yes, this is happening, this always happens, so I am not able to see anything else beyond it. Evaluation of the experience and avoidance of experience, like I explained that we are going into withdrawal. And reason giving for behavior, there is kind of a justification. Instead of looking into it, instead of accepting what we are doing, we are kind of trying to give reasons for it. So what is the alternative? The healthy alternative is to act. Accept the reactions, that whatever is happening, we are kind of accepting it, that yes, I am getting angry. Yes, I am getting angry. So what do we do? Choosing a valued direction. I am angry and I want to yell at my parents. So, what is my valued direction? What can I be doing instead of that and taking the action? So some of the things that are discussed in ACT is contact with the present moment, that I am not fused with either the past or not the future. Just being aware of the present, being in the present, what is happening at this point of time. We have spoken about fusion. The opposite of fusion is diffusion. Here, what we need to do is whatever is happening to us, we are as if we are an observer to these things. That yes, I am observing my thoughts, I am observing my feelings, not being a part of it, not being fused with it. There are some of the exercises, I will come to it. Then acceptance, we have always spoken about it. Observing the self, again similar to diffusion. Values, like we said, taking the valued action and having a committed action. So some of the exercises, it might be helpful for you people. So contacting the present moment. So the 6 things that we have discussed. So one of the things that happens is anchoring. So how can we do that? So basically this also happens when we have, in the face of stress, when we have a lot of tasks to do and when in a limited time we have to do, we kind of sometimes tend to lose the track of time, or we kind of tend to lose the contact with the present moment. So there are some techniques that we can do. Are you people able to see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, are you able to see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Or
We can see you. Yeah.
okay, fine. So, right, thank you. So, what we can do is in anchoring, something that we can do is, so it's like we can take our hands like this, okay, and we can just try to press it harder, okay, like this, so that it's kind of we are coming back to the present moment. It's like contacting the present. So, it's we are kind of being carried away, just like a ship is being anchored to the harbor so that it doesn't go away with the tide or the wave. So it's in a similar way we are trying to do this, or we are trying to press our elbows harder. If we are sitting on a chair, we are trying to just do this, so that we are trying to keep the contact with the present moment. Diffusion, here what we can do is, the main thing about diffusion is, um, you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings, you are an observer of your thoughts and feelings. So one of the classic techniques of diffusion is called the leaves on the stream. It's an exercise where it's like you imagine that you are sitting on the bank of a river, a bank of a gently flowing stream, and you are just seeing that the leaves are passing on the stream, and you are trying to place your thoughts, your feelings on the leaves. And you are just observing them as they slowly come and go by. So there is no kind of attachment, but it's you are just observing them as they are. That's a formal technique that we use. Some of the informal techniques can be like this, like as if you are observing a computer screen and your thoughts are just passing by, your feelings are just passing by, okay. The next thing comes the acceptance. That is again the same thing, okay. The diffusion and acceptance are mostly common. So committing it to how it is, let it be, making room for yourself, locating the feeling. It's like, okay, where exactly it is happening, and you are placing it, and then you are letting it pass by. Using the self as the context. So that is like, like as if you are there, okay, you are in a context. So as if your life is like a stage show, there's a show going on and you are just a part of it. So on what you do will not have much impact on the entire thing per se. And then values and committed action. this is one of the exercises that are being used. It's called the bullseye. So here we have four parts here. One is work or education, leisure, personal growth, and relationships. So here what we need to do is, in these four things, in these four headings, we have to just list down some of the things that we are doing or that we intend to do. Okay, and then we can see these are the circles, so we can number it as 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Okay, now let's say under work we have two things, okay, that we need to do. If it is at the center, that means I am living fully by my values. Okay, so you have to do this, and you are fully doing it with your committed action. The more you move away, the more inconsistent you become with your values. So what we can do here is, we can list down what are the things that we plan on doing in this four aspects, and we can try to place these things in these four things. We can try to place in which circle it lies, whether it lies in the first circle or the fourth circle or the last one. Once we have located that, then we will slowly try to bring them towards the center. Right? So these are the few exercises that we do, to name a few, but the therapy involves definitely a lot more. Okay, and obviously I am not explaining all these things to you. So I would like to conclude with saying this: there will always be, like some kind of chaos and some kind of always some kind of negative things or positive things happening around you. It's all about how you find the calm in it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that very, very informative and insightful seminar. It was really helpful. We now have some questions that we've collected based on our survey, and then we'll take the live questions. So we'll
Sure.
start with the first question. Do you feel like there's so much negativity on social media? Does it just come down to like the choices and values, or is there something that elders, teachers, students that they can do to avoid overexposure to this negativity?
Okay, so here again, see, we have a tendency here that we tend to focus mostly on the negatives. Okay, so if there are five things happening around us, okay, if we have to brief what happened in our entire day, we would mostly focus on the negative things that have happened, right? So even here also, whatever is happening on the social media, it's not that only negative things are happening, right? But then yes, it's true, there are so much negativity, but then again it comes down to the values that we have. So these things, we have to understand that these things are also beyond our control. So if we think, so it again comes down to the coping skills, like I was discussing about. So one of the negative coping skills is wishful thinking. I wish this wouldn't have happened. I wish that would have happened. I wish. So yes, I wish, but what am I doing for that? Right? So even though there is negativity around me, like I said, it's all about finding the calm. Okay, so even though there are certain things, we can choose to respond. We can choose to what we will respond to and what we will not respond to. Right? Okay, if we feel that we have some control, like if I feel that, okay, you as my friend is spreading something on the social media which is negative, it might be a manifestation of your, it might be a manifestation of your negative mental health also. So that way I can choose to talk to you, that way I can choose to address your concerns. So like I said, identification of symptoms as an onlooker, right?
Right.
But if it is beyond my control, there is nothing much that we can do about it. We can only control how we direct ourselves to that place.
Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. So the next question is like there's a lot of negligence in terms of interactions and like concerns for students everywhere. And on the flip side, we cannot ask professors to like maintain a relationship with 100 students in a classroom. So,
Hmm.
what responsibilities do you think that professors have in like doing with the mental well-being of students?
Hmm. Okay, so here the first thing that comes in is the awareness, right? So we might be one thing that happens, that even the professors or the others who are teaching, they might not be aware as to what a person or what a child is going through. Having said that, yes, it's not possible to monitor everybody. Okay, so maybe if there can be certain activities, okay, certain things outside the curriculum, some co-curricular activities or certain things, maybe some of the role plays, that can be done, or let's say, like in a week's time we are selecting 10 students, okay, like 10 students talking about something, talking about a negative experience, or talking about something that is happening at home, so that again the opening up is encouraged more, and that might give an indication. I'm not saying that in that way we will be able to really identify and diagnose somebody, but at least the indication probably would become much more easier, and
Okay.
then we can take active steps about it if it is required.
Okay.
So the next question is this one. So how do you
Hmm.
encourage self-love, and what does it mean? Personally,
Hmm.
I think I feel very awkward to go alone to a restaurant and treat myself. But as an
Hmm.
individual, how do you think I can inculcate these values?
Okay. So first of all, what do you mean by self-love? Okay. So it is a known fact that every person loves himself or herself the most, right? Okay. So but it's like we all have some kind of, I mean, some amount of self-love, but it's like how do we manifest it? How much of it do we manifest? How much of it do we show it to others? Okay, so if you feel that yes, that might be a way of self love, okay, that you are going and treating yourself in a restaurant, okay, but tell me something, if you are like doing some amount of self care, right? Maybe at the at night before you go to bed, okay, you do anything to your skin?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, if you do that, that's also a form of self love. Okay, do you watch a movie? That's also a form of self love. It's like how I am trying to help myself, how I am trying to do something for my pleasure. Okay, so the self love can be of different forms, right? But then yes, again, everything is in moderation, right? If I am doing it excessively, I might go towards narcissism. All right, okay, so and there is nothing wrong in it, there is nothing wrong in treating yourself, there is nothing wrong in I'm so sorry, there is nothing wrong in doing this, and that is something that we have to understand. Okay, so this again probably goes with our values, that we have been taught that you need to care for others more. Okay, you need to do this more, instead of being self-centered you need to do this more. So we have to draw the line between being self-centered and loving myself, and it might not have to be always in the activities as big as going to a restaurant. It can be anything that you are doing on your day-to-day basis, and it's necessary that you incorporate these things.
Thank you.
Does
So
it
a
answer your
very
question?
general,
Oh, yes, it does. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, yes.
a very general question which you've probably been asked a lot is like, how do
Hmm.
we raise mental health awareness? Like, how do we eliminate the awkwardness and fear that students feel while talking to people?
Hmm, hmm. It has been a long standing problem, okay, and I don't think it will go away very soon. Okay, I mean, very easily, right? But then again, giving that validation, maybe talking about it more. Okay, so now also a positive side is that many people are coming up with the concerns. Okay, many people, like in my experience, I have seen people coming up with concerns which might not be diagnostic in nature. Okay, it's just that like so what used to happen is a person used to come only when it goes to a severe level where you can diagnose a person with having, let's say, an ABC disorder. Okay, so now people are opening up, they are coming, okay, they are saying that I am just having an issue with this, And then when I'm trying to rule out the other symptoms, maybe they don't have the other symptoms, so it's not like a full-fledged disorder yet, but they are coming up. So that's a good sign. Okay, the awareness, I think, is spreading, but we have to do a lot more work with that. Okay, maybe, having some community campaigns. Okay, talking more
Hmm.
about it. Like now, something, right? Like now that you had this thing, this mental health day came and went by, and all these things happened. So some people became more aware. Now how do we spread the awareness? So if we talk about it a little bit more, if we can like probably incorporate in our curriculum also, right? Okay, so maybe that way, the more the awareness grows, the stigma will also slowly come down.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Right. So next question we have is about online support groups. And do you think they're effective? And can we help people build the right kind of network? And how do we motivate others around them? Like, how do we motivate the people to also motivate the others around them?
Okay. So, see, up to a point, we were like, no, therapy has to be face to face. Okay. There has to be, like there has to be a physical connect. There has to be, and a lot of our ideas, our perception have changed in the last few months. Okay, so now most of our therapy is also virtual. At some point of time, we used to think that, no, this is an exercise, this can never be done virtually. So at least once, so even we have insisted clients that, no, you need to visit at least once, and then we will see if we can go about with telephonic sessions or anything. But now the thing is that so basically, what does a support group do? In the support groups, there are also some of the people who have already undergone this condition, whatever it is. Okay, it might be depression, it might be substance abuse, it can be anything. So there, when let's say I am suffering from an XYZ disorder, and when I am hearing you talk about it, that you have undergone these things and you are sharing your thing, that motivates me. Okay, that makes me feel that, okay, if that person has done this, why wouldn't I be able to do that? And that's how we and that's how we get the motivation. Okay, so now, since all most of the things are happening online, I don't see a reason why an online support group will not be as much effective or as much helpful.
So, what do you think about our initiative, and like, how would you recommend we build a sensitive environment at NIT Trichy and colleges in general?
Right. Okay. So yes, I really appreciate your initiative. Okay. I think it is also important, like I said, to spread the awareness. Okay. The more we spread the awareness, the more people tend to know about it. The more people tend to talk about it. Right. The more this thing will slowly, the more the stigma will reduce. The more people will come up. Okay, one of the things which is also very important is normalizing. Okay, and how do we react to the other people? So you probably can be a little bit more sensitive if somebody is coming and talking to you, instead of saying, like we tend to say, right, like usually around us we tend to say, oh, you are, this is nothing, like I said, okay, you are having this thing, this is even my somebody that also had this thing, and then we tend to talk about our issues more, right, our experiences more. So instead of doing that, okay, try to normalize this. That, not like, you might say that, yes, my this relative has also suffered from this, but stop over there. Okay, and then let the other person speak, right? And as far as in the institution in the as far as the institution is concerned, there, like I said, maybe having a little, maybe some amount of awareness programs, some amount of things that you are doing on your own. Like I said, maybe with 10 students or with 12 students, you are making a small group. Okay, and you are talking about things. Okay, let us talk about what we like, what we don't like. Okay, how do we feel? Maybe we need to talk about our feelings more. Okay, we always kind of tend to suppress that. right? If we are, let's say, if I ask you what did you do throughout the day or how was your day, you will probably give the factual things. I watched this movie, I read this thing, I did this, but how did you feel about a particular thing? Okay, even while you are probably discussing about a movie or discussing about the series, instead of focusing on the fact, maybe try to talk about your feelings. How did you feel? How did it affect you? What do you feel? Think about it. Okay, and maybe taking some small programs, some role plays where somebody is acting as a therapist while somebody is acting as a client. Okay, even that might be helpful to bring about certain things. Also, if it is possible to have it under somebody's supervision, okay, that might be more helpful, because while you are enacting, you might not be able to like identify or recognize the symptoms. So if it is happening with somebody is there just as an onlooker, just as an observer, okay, so that might also be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, and also I think one of, I'm sorry, but one of the other things is maybe having something in the curriculum related to mental health. Okay, so that again the normalization happens, right? So now see, the like children are being taught about good touch, bad touch, and these things are slowly coming into the curriculum. So in the same way, if the mental health concerns also come under the curriculum, I think that would make more people aware of it.
Right. Ma'am, we have some live questions, so would you mind taking them now? Okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, we're just getting them on screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how should one, go about handling performance anxiety? Right. So when there is some amount of performance anxiety, what is this anxiety about? First thing, okay, that I will not be able to perform. So having an awareness as to what will happen if I don't perform. Okay, so most of the times anxiety comes in because of the uncertainty. Okay, when we know that okay, if I don't perform, this thing is going to happen, then we are not feeling anxious anymore. Okay, so having an idea as to okay, what is going to happen, okay, if I am not able to perform. Okay, so if I am aware of that, if I know that okay, these are the things happening, and then in my mind I can have I can have a planning. Okay, that if this doesn't happen, maybe I will be going with this thing. Okay, that is one of the things. And secondly, when you are having an anxiety, it might be because of some past event that has already happened. Okay, so there also trying to remind yourself that yes, it has happened once, but that doesn't mean it will happen again, right? And also, as far as the anxiety goes, trying to relax yourself, some breathing technique, deep breathing, relaxation techniques, these things would also be helpful.
Okay.
How should one deal with failures and not being up to the mark? Okay, I think it is similar to the performance anxiety part when I was talking about that what might happen. Okay, so now if we have had the failure, so it is something related to the career failure, that whenever somebody has some amount of failure, that is the phase that one person goes to. First there is shock, then comes the fear. Okay, so if you have had faced failure, we have to first normalize it. Okay, more than failure, maybe we are anxious or we are worried about the things associated with failure. Okay, what happens as a result of failure? Failure leads to probably it affects my self esteem in a negative way. Okay, it probably labels me in a different way, that I am a failure. So instead of doing that, we have to take it as a part of me, so that the failure itself doesn't define me. Okay, it's like it's just a part of me. It's just a negative thing that has happened, and how do we go about with it? Okay, so the diffusion that we talked about, that is something that might be helpful, that yes, it has happened, yes, I have failed. The acceptance is the main thing that will come up. Okay, that yes, there has been this thing. So then now what are my next steps? What are the things that I can do instead of dwelling in the thing that has already happened to me? What can we do as non-psychologists if we identify people around us as being depressed? I think I have already explained that as an onlooker, what are the things that we need to do? We need to be aware of the symptoms. We need to, if we identify people as being depressed, we can definitely help them towards like to get them help. Like, from where would you get help? Like I said, that active listening is something that we do. We can be empathetic, we can try to normalize the condition, that yes, this is something. We can just encourage them to open up more about it. Okay, and then definitely to guide them towards the proper help seeking. A book on human psychology. Okay, there are a lot of books actually. So the basic book that you can start reading is probably the Morgan and King. Okay, it's called An Introduction to Psychology by Morgan and King. That is the very basic thing, which starts with all our all our regular processes. It's not really related to clinical psychology per se, but the normal processes, the normal psychological processes that we go through.
Okay. I think that's all the questions we have. And thank you so much, ma'am, again for the very, very informative seminar. I'm sure a lot of people found it helpful. And thank you so much. We
Thank
loved
you.
having you here.
Thank you so much. Okay, it was a very good initiative. Thank you for considering me over here. And if like anybody feels to reach out to me, you can definitely reach out at the Center for Mental Health. Like I said, we do provide counseling and therapy and assessments for the people in need. So if somebody if somebody wants to seek help or somebody wants to do that, I'll be very happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, ma'am.